Well, good to see everyone. Thanks for coming out. Just a brief recap on this past Saturday and moving on to UMASS. I thought it was a very good win for our football team, a good win for our football program. Proud of the way our players played with the style of play, the energy, the discipline to execute. Was very, very proud of them. I thought as a collective group, we played winning football for about 3.5 quarters. Now as we continue to grow and elevate, now we got to understand, what happened during that span that we didn't play winning football. And a lot of things, it starts with drive stoppers, whether it's a negative yardage football play to start the drive, giving up explosive plays, being able to maintain momentum, which I thought was one of the keys to this game is you can still maintain momentum when things aren't going your way. And I think a lot of times how you're able to maintain momentum is through your play of special teams. When you look at whether it's a kickoff or kickoff return or a punt or punt return, you can always regain momentum that way, and I thought we were able to do that. For the most part, I thought we played complementary football. There are many things, obviously, to move forward and improve upon, but also a lot of things to build upon. I thought we played a clean game. We only had 3 penalties, won the turnover battle, although we can't turn the football over regardless. We had 2 explosive plays of over 60 yards, so those are momentum plays as well. So, again, I think a lot to build upon, a lot that we must improve. This week is probably the biggest challenge to date that we've had for a number of reasons. Going on the road, very, very difficult place to play. When I watched the video, UMass is a football team that should have at least 3 wins. They've lost 2 games the last 2 weeks by a total of 5 points. And they're a very, very physical, very aggressive football team on defense. They're very multiple. They create a lot of negative yardage plays. They have a lot of starters back, plus transfers. And so they understand their system. They understand their scheme. So they're able to execute it at a high effectiveness because they know what to do and they're able to play fast. And then again, their scheme causes you a lot of issues as well with good football players. And then offensively, it's going to be a great challenge regardless of the quarterback is. I think all 3 have very impressive skill sets. They're able to keep plays alive. They're able to make the plays. I think they have a dynamic wide receiver core. Probably the fastest overall receiver core we've played to date amongst all of our opponents. So that's going to be a challenge in and of itself. Offensive line is big and physical. Good running backs. So, again, we're going to have to play our best football to win the game. And it all starts, as we know, with this week of preparation and being able to go on the road. And when you go on the road, you keep hearing me talk about the word momentum each and every week. And when you go on the road, you have to create your own momentum. And so that's going to be critical, in 3 phases working together. The complementary football, we saw what could happen Saturday night when we play complementary football in all 3 phases. I thought we started fast. That was a byproduct of complementary football. We forced a turnover in the low red area. We blocked a punt in the high red area. And then we did a good job of capitalizing on those opportunities and turning them into points and scoring touchdowns. So, again, great win. Now it's moving forward, and what do we do with it? As we all know, we live in a week-to-week season. So how can we continue to grow and build from this and move forward with this great challenge that's going to happen this Saturday in Massachusetts? So I'll answer any questions y'all may have.
Coach, we saw the dynamic performance of your quarterback Saturday. How important is that to you? And I have another question as well. What are your thoughts on the Travis Kelce, Taylor Swift situation?
2 interesting questions. I think, first of all, was really proud of the way Jalen competed. I thought the players around him stepped up. We were able to push the ball down the field, create explosive plays. I thought we did some good things in the line of scrimmage at the point of contact. But again, in moving forward, Jalen has to build upon the things that he learned and the things that he can grow and get better from, and the positive things as well. And one of them is the clock management at the end of the first half. And throwing the ball away and knowing that, we get the ball to start the second half, let's take 3 points and try to have a 10-point swing there. I think that comes with repetitions, that comes with experience. In terms of Travis and Taylor, you know what, I'll let everyone else talk about that. I'm focused on UMass, and I just know that Travis is very charismatic, as we know. He's got a personality, and I love him to death, and he's like a son to me. So if she's good enough for him, she's good enough for me. So I'll leave it at that.
Is there anything on Saturday that you maybe learned about Jalen that you didn't know?
Well, you never really know until you play games for real. And when you go through the ebbs and flows of a game, when you go through the different situational type football, how you're going to respond, it's one way to do it in practice, but then when it's a real live game situation, how are you going to react? And I thought he was very poised. I liked his demeanor. We met yesterday on kind of the things he learned and moving forward. And one of the things he probably has to do a better job of moving forward is the ability to snap and clear that play from your mind and move on. In this week's challenge is even going to be even more twofold with all the pressure looks that they give, the different coverage schemes that they give, the different fronts that they give. So he has to continue to mature and grow. But again, you never really know until you play the games for real, and then you can really assess where he's at. I know I've seen it in spurts since training camp, but I think the consistency, I think the ability to throw the deep ball, but I think the biggest thing to me that stood out was his composure.
I just want to talk about the other side of the ball here, especially with the corners. Last week, Caston kind of had his way with the corners. It seemed like kind of each of them were struggling. So, with Anthony Simpson averaging over 20 yards a catch, kind of, where are things looking at with that position and kind of how you're going to try to hold those receivers down?
Yeah, it's going to be a challenge. That's why I said it in the opening statement is as a receiving core, this is the most talented group we have played to date. When you look at their speed, when you see their get off, they eat the ground up when they come off the ball. They explode. They have good speed. They can high point the football. They have good balance and body control. And they do a good job of getting the ball in their hands, whether it's quick touches, whether it's jet sweeps, whether it's smoke screens. And we know they're going to push the ball down the field and they're going to challenge us. So I think the big thing we have to continue to improve upon is just our overall technique at the line of scrimmage. Our man-to-man off technique has to improve. And I think the biggest thing is the ability to play the ball in the air. We didn't do a particularly very good job of that Saturday night, but we've done it throughout the course of practice. We've done it in previous games. But, that's something we have to continue to, how we play the deep ball in the middle third of the field, all those things, finding the ball in the blind spot when we turn, all those things we have to greatly improve, because if you have one flaw in your technique, if you had bad eyes, if you have bad eye discipline, they're going to take advantage of that. And they do a good job, again, of getting the ball in their hands, whether it's intermediate throws, whether it's quick throws, or down the field throws.
Just kind of building on that theme a little bit more, Coach. Just seemed like Saturday night the pass rush was able to, flush their quarterback out of the pocket sometimes and, help the secondary a little bit.
Well, I think, that's important when we talk about, on defense, everybody's tied to a string. It's all 11 working together. And so it starts obviously up front in your ability to stop the run, and then when they do throw the ball, your ability to impact the quarterback. And there's so much that goes into impacting the quarterback. It's tips, it's overthrows, it's distractions of getting an offhand up and mirroring the offhand of the quarterback. It's your rush lanes and integrity. Sometimes when the ball actually got out, we didn't have very good, rush lane integrity. So I think that goes with it. And I just think your effort, your 4 to 6, A to B that we talk about, that's how we define effort. Probably one of the best effort plays I've seen in a very, very long time that will forever be etched in our teaching of what effort looks like was Javante Mackey. at the end of the game where he came off the edge. He missed a sack, and then the offensive lineman fell on him, and he could have quit. He got up and he chased the ball about 15 yards down the field and, got the ball out, although the ball was down. He was a fraction of a second of an unbelievable, spectacular play of ripping the ball out. That's the type of effort. That's how we talk about pursuing the ball. We call that blind pursuit. But that's something that, we need more individuals on defense doing that. But that's all part of playing winning football on defense is all 11 individuals, and it does it. It has to start up front. UMass does a really good job with some of their protection schemes and gap protections where it's harder to get a pass rush, and they do a good job with max protection as well, and let the receivers go get it. So, again, all those things we have to do a good job of mixing the fronts up, doing maybe more 3-down and some odd 3-3 stuff, early downs that we've worked on, that we've done a little bit this year. All those things come into play in moving forward. But, again, it's a collective group, and it's playing winning football as a collective group, and that's why I said I thought we did that for 3.5 quarters, and then we had a lull there. You're up 34-17. You now have to close the team out. You have to be able to force a 3-and-out. You have to be able to get out. But also complementary football, I believe we had 3 3-and-outs on offense. And so that's where that comes into play. But I also said this, we needed to win a game like that too, where we had to overcome, show some resolve, show some resiliency, and we were able to do that.
Coach, how are you feeling about the offensive line at this point? It seems like they've really been gelling together these last couple weeks.
Yeah, I think they continue to be work in progress. I think they're getting better each and every week. They're working together as collectively as one unit. I really like their communication. It all starts with Jacob Bear up front. We thought Jacob had the best game he's had so far in his Arkansas State career. He did a good job of getting us in the right run schemes and right protections. Obviously, he'll be challenged with the multitude of looks that UMass will present on Saturday. But I think the group is growing in confidence, and not only from a fundamental standpoint, but also from a style of play standpoint as well.
Preparing for their quarterbacks, as you mentioned, you're not exactly sure what they're going to do. You got Davis and then the Clemson transfer. I'm not even going to try to say his name, but he started the first game of the year, and it seems like they've been kind of interchangeable. So how do you prepare for maybe multiple quarterbacks, or kind of, what do you see there?
Well, they're going to run what they run. I think the thing that's challenging is keeping them in the pocket. They're very active. They can escape the pocket. They can make plays with their legs, but they can throw the deep ball. They can make all the throws. And, it's kind of the same situation we're in with Jalen. They bring in a true freshman at the end of the game, and he leads them down, to lead them in overtime. And they take the lead in overtime. And I know, by watching their demeanor around him, they probably have a lot of confidence in him, and they've probably seen it kind of manifest in practice. And so he's very, very elusive. He's very active. So we have to do a great job of our pass rush lanes, which we just spoke about, and not letting them out. And all 3 quarterbacks possess that ability, and they're very impressive. I think all 3 quarterbacks play winning football for them, and all 3, no matter who it is, give them an opportunity to win every time they step on the field.
Coach, going back to Jalen for a second, have you started a true freshman at quarterback previously? I know you've mentioned a couple of guys the other night who played early for you. And also just, second quarter, he lowers his shoulder to Jay Stanley, and ends up picking up a few extra yards. You really want him to, do that moving forward.
Yeah, Jalen and I spoke about that. And, everywhere we've been, we've had to play a young quarterback, from Josh Dobbs, who, I believe he was a redshirt freshman at the time, and we were playing Alabama, and we lost our starter, and he had to kind of go in, and we knew we had something special while that game was taking place. Dan Lefevre at Central Michigan. There's still only, I believe, 2 quarterbacks in FBS history that have thrown for 3,000 yards in a season and rushed for 1,000, and Dan is one of 2. I believe Vince Young was the only other one. And then you look at Dan's career of over 10,000 yards throwing the ball and over 3,000 yards of rushing the ball. That hasn't been done much at the FBS level. So we've had that, but it's all about your growth and development and moving forward, and you can't stop being you. You can't get caught up. It's like I told him and I told our team, praise and blame, it's all the same. So you can't be poisoned about it. This is one game. We won one game. And all the people that were criticizing us and them are now, telling them how great they are. And that's why praise and blame, it's all the same. You got to focus on the task at hand. Part of being a mature football team is understanding that that's gone. Now you have to recreate yourself. You have to reinvent yourself. You have to, again, consistency and performance. It's how you prepare. That's the biggest thing is can you win each day? And then your preparation lends itself to being able to perform on Saturday. And you got to learn how to flip the switch from your preparation mode, to your performance mode. And there's a lot that goes into it. It takes a lot of maturity. It takes a lot of veteran leadership that we don't have. I believe out of 78 players, 52 of them are in their first or second year, so we're learning as we go. But in moving forward, I thought, Jalen did some good things in moving forward. I think we had a lot of individuals step up and play some of their best football that they've played. And again, hopefully you saw that's the way we want to play football, from energy to mentality to the toughness to all three phases complementing each other. The synergy between offense, defense, special teams, the connection with the football team. Hopefully people that watched us said, this is a little bit different. It feels a little bit different. Now we have to go on the road and recreate that. And you do that by your week of preparation again, and it's going to be versus a very, very strong and quality opponent.
Zavada getting Sun Belt, special teams player of the week. How happy have you been just how he's mentally been able to bounce back? Didn't have a good game against Oklahoma, but has really come on strong these last couple games.
Yeah, I can't say enough about him. When we talk about character and competitive character, that's Dominic. That's what he stands for. And it's very important to him, obviously. And, you learn, again, this is still an 18-year-old individual. And you're learning, and you go through that. And he's been extremely focused. He's very confident. He believes in himself. He believes in his teammates. He epitomizes everything that we talk about in our football program, from character, from competitive character, to being a good teammate, to even leading. He's one of those leaders in the specialist room. But, again, I think it's keeping things in perspective that these are still young adults. And they're maturing and growing up, and, he's still only in his second year in the program. But, his consistency, not just on game day that everybody sees, but his approach every single day, what you're getting with him. He's always positive. He's always upbeat. He's very competitive. He's very diligent in practice, very competitive in practice. So when he gets to the game, to the performance time, it's easy for him because he's done it all week in practice.
I know you mentioned it earlier, but just to kind of get over that hump and win a close game, how much confidence and momentum do you think that gives your team going forward?
Well, I think anytime you win a game like that, it helps. I think it helps your belief system. But, again, all you have to do is just press play and watch the silent video. And I think our players have seen that even through the first, not so much the first week, but the second week they were able to see that. But I think anytime you win a game, it's really hard to win in college football. We've all found that out. Just look at the records of all the Sun Belt teams. Because, again, you're playing a very difficult schedule to start the year, and then you get into conference play. And in our conference, every team is good. Any team is capable of beating anybody. That's why we're the best group of five conference in America. From top to bottom, there isn't any 2 or 3 elite teams. Yeah, there's a bunch of elite programs, but they're all really the Sun Belt is now comprised of all good football teams and programs that are committed to winning. So it makes it even that much challenging. But I think any time you win lends credence to what you're doing. There's a belief system. But now you have to recreate that every single week, and there comes it with the maturity. You have to go from, and I told our team this, you have to go from learning how to win to learning how to handle winning. And there's a lot that goes into that from maturity, from a work ethic standpoint, from just your overall mentality. You know, those are the evolutions of programs as you're building them from ground zero.
Anything else for Coach, guys? All right, thanks.
All right, thank you.